Their message is entitled The Gospel of Prosperity. And we're continuing in the study of my book, Discover the Power Within You, continuing today Jesus' concepts, his insights into the subject of prosperity. Actually, Jesus and his teachings have been greatly emasculated by erroneous translations of the Gospels. For instance, the Beatitudes, which we discovered last week, blessed are the poor in spirit. The Beatitude has been accepted literally, suggesting that it is a grace to be poor and a sin to be rich. As we pointed out last week, the poor in spirit actually means the poor in pride, dealing with humility and not with material wealth at all. Jesus' gospel of prosperity is sorely needed in the world today because it needs to be stressed that there is a legitimate royal abundance for every living creature. It is not for lack of abundance that a person experiences want, but lack of the knowledge that there is an abundance for all. In other words, if you're experiencing lack or want, it is not because you're separated from God, but because you do not feel your oneness with God. Now, the study today is based on the Sermon on the Mount, the 6th chapter of Matthew, the 19th through the 34th verses. And this is a portion of the sermon that everyone who goes to business should read at least once a week. These lines: "Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon the earth, where moth and rust consume, where thieves break through and steal, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth consume, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where thy treasure is, there will thy heart be also." Now, this might seem to indicate that Jesus was against thrift, or the making and saving of money. But you see, in Jesus' day, they didn't have banks or building and loan societies. Any accumulation had to be hidden in the walls of their homes. Usually valuables were in the form of useful items, such as silks or woolens or metal objects. And they were in constant danger of having them rust out or wear out or, of course, be stolen. So he's saying that wealth is objectified thought. So the true need is not with objects, but with the thought itself. To lay up treasures in heaven means to build a consciousness of faith, the feeling of inner security. An illustration might be the spider who unreels his web as he needs it. He doesn't carry tangled bundles of webbing with him wherever he goes. It's important to get a right attitude about money. As Paul says, the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. Money is a symbol, but what its symbol symbolizes for you depends upon your consciousness as you use it. It is intended to be a symbol of the free flow of substance, but for most persons, money is a symbol of limitation. So Jesus' concept is, don't work to amass money, for you only amass a lot of misfortune. Seek instead to amass a great faith in the divine flow. It will always attract the money as it is needed. Jesus was not against money. It took money to enable his band of followers to travel with him through the land. There's a line in the story that is seldom noticed where it says, certain women among them ministered unto them of their substance, which means there were some ladies along who picked up the tab. But this is all right. Jesus' great consciousness of faith attracted this help that came through people. Now we're told the lamp of the body is the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, the whole body shall be full of light. If thine eye be evil, the whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in thee be darkness, how great is the darkness? In Tennyson's Ancient Sage, he says, the world is full of griefs and graves, who knows but that the darkness is within man? Threats of insecurity and lack and shortages are everywhere, certainly, but they can have no influence on you unless they happen in you. True sight is insight. You see things not as they are, but as you are. We've tended to limit the effectiveness of our thought process by thinking reactively. Things happen around us, information is reported to us, we think about it, so we let it take root within us. But as Paul says, don't let the world around you squeeze you into its own mold, but let God remold your mind from within. In other words, begin to think creatively. Listen to the inward call of abundance and think that prosperous thought. Then your eye shall be single and your whole body shall be full of light. Now we're told no man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and mammon. Now the principle is, what we acknowledge to be our master, to that we become a servant. This is universal law, and there's no escape from it. If you make a god of your materiality, that you become enslaved to all the fluctuations of the economy. This is what follows. The rich young ruler turned sorrowfully away when Jesus told him to give everything to the poor, because we're told he had great possessions. But Jesus was simply testing him. If he could have given it away, then he wouldn't have needed to. The The fact is that he did not, or could not, meant that he did not have great possessions. Great possessions had him. We're told, therefore I say unto you, be not anxious for your life, what you shall eat, or what you shall drink, nor yet for your body, what you shall put on. Is not the life more than food, and the body than raiment? Behold the birds of the heavens, that they sow not, neither do they reap, nor gather into barns, and your heavenly Father feedeth them. Are not you of much more value than they? And which of you, by being anxious, can add 1 cubit unto the measure of his life? And why are you anxious concerning raiment? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. Yet I say unto you that even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. But if God so clothe the grass of the field, which today is and tomorrow is cast into the oven, shall he not much more clothe you, O ye of little faith? This should cause us all to blush a little bit, for how much of our waking thought is devoted to what we shall eat and drink and wear, and maybe even worry about gaining and losing weight. Jesus is saying, is your worry or anxious thought going to make you change your stature, or pay your bills, or make your work succeed? We lose our perspective so easily and assume that there's nothing in the world right now more important than getting that new apartment, or the raise in salary, or the new contract, or the sporty car. Jesus says, go out and sit in the fields and watch the birds. They're not worrying about a new spring dress or tomorrow's food, and yet they're provided for abundantly. And he says, be not therefore anxious, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or wherewithal shall we be clothed? For your heavenly Father knoweth what things you have need of, even before you ask. But seek ye first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. The only true freedom and security a person ever has is his faith, his attitude of oneness with the divine flow. In other words, don't worry about your health, but seek the consciousness of wholeness. Don't worry about money, but seek the awareness of opulence. In the business world, there is the delusion that financial capital, principal, P-A-L, is all that counts. But this is not true. Any successful business venture demonstrates that integrity and service have been the key to the public confidence that created the success. The key is seek first the principal, P-L-E, and the principal, P-A-L, will follow. We're told, be not therefore anxious for the morrow will be anxious for itself. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. Even in Jesus' day, there was a great cause of worry in tomorrow. A person may say, I have enough for today, but what am I going to do tomorrow and the next day? Live one day at a time. Live today as if it were the only day of your life, which it certainly is. Thou dost give us this day and every day our daily bread, as we suggested yesterday in the Lord's Prayer. Jesus was affirming that because we are the living enterprise of God, there is a built-in provision for the constant flow of substance. In the feeding of the 5,000, we're told Jesus looked up and gave thanks, not looking up into the sky, but looking away from the appearance of lack, looking up into the transcendence of substance, which is omnipresent. The only true lack is the thought of lack. One may be broke and still not be poor. One may have millions and still not be rich. The only true lack is the absence of faith in the constancy of divine supply. Lack is not a thing. It's a state of consciousness. And the state of consciousness is never corrected simply by charity. As Paul says, my God shall supply every need of yours according to his riches. But God cannot fill lack. A need is a vessel waiting to be filled, but lack is a limited state of mind. It's like a cup held upside down under the faucet. The place to overcome lack and unemployment and financial hardship and poverty is in consciousness. A picture chord that is perfectly attuned to a certain note of the piano will instantly sing out whenever that note is struck. Poverty has been a fixation in the consciousness of mankind. And as long as we treat it as a condition, it will always be there to be dealt with. We need to teach people to alter their thoughts, to think in terms of abundance, to know their oneness with the divine flow. People need to know that they can control their lives by taking responsibility for their own minds. They can harness their inner resources and get into the flow of affluence. Lift up your eyes. Stop seeing and identifying with lack. Stop thinking in terms of empty pocketbooks and unpaid bills. Realize that you live in a sea of substance and that there is abundance for you. Economists sometimes debate over whether everyone in the world could enjoy prosperity. Isn't there a limit? There must be an end somewhere. Thomas Malthus, a British economist in the early 19th century, set forth a theory of the ultimate depletion of the Earth's ability to provide for an expanding population. This is the Malthusian principle. Jesus' concept of prosperity would completely refute this. The difference is, you see, he was dealing with, my kingdom is not of this world. In other words, not limited by material standards. The new science today verifies the need to deal with the reality of the non-material. You see, in Jesus' concept, it is actually a sin to be poor. Because, as he says, it's the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom, and if it isn't manifesting, then something in you is frustrating that flow. Thoughts of poverty degrade, and thoughts of abundance uplift. As more people lay hold of the concept of the divinity of man and begin to see themselves in the context of wholeness, they will claim abundance for themselves, and they will actually become a radiant influence for establishing a world of prosperity for everyone. This is the gospel of prosperity.